Okay, good morning everyone, or good evening. Hello, I'm Pacman, and in those series of live programming in Flutter, I will just explain to you how to make some apps, and yeah, I hope that you will find some interesting things about programming in Flutter. Well, in the first live video, well, basically I'm just learning how all the live streaming is working, so sorry for some mistakes. But in the first video I'll be focused on describing what is Flutter, but really in short, and what my live videos are for which people, what kind of people, or basically Flutter enthusiasts and people who wants to learn something and wants to make some amazing apps in Flutter. So yeah, I'll try to follow the chat, and let's just begin. So let me just show the screen. So first of all, we will start with some pre-requirements of this video service. So basically those kind of live streams are for all people, of course, but mostly for the ones that knows a little bit about programming, especially object-oriented programming, like C# or Java languages, or knows some basic knowledge of JavaScript, and this is because Flutter uses Dart language, programming language, which is kind of mix between C# or Java and JavaScript languages, because it's not fully object-oriented programming language. However, it has some aspects of object-oriented programming, but also a lot of similarities to the JavaScript language. It would be nice also if some of you have already Firebase, Google Play Developer, Google AdMob accounts, and if you don't have it, then you can either by yourself create those accounts on your own, or you can just see some tutorials how to create accounts there. However, I guess it's easy enough for you to just create the accounts there on your own, and just remember that for a Google Play Developer account, you need to pay like $50, something like that, the price for creating the account, so that you will be able to release apps there to the Play Store. What else? It would be nice if you would have Visual Studio Code, because I will be showing all the programming in Flutter, and I will make Flutter apps in Visual Studio Code. Also, I will use Android Studio, but only for using the emulators there. So yeah, and the last but not least, motivation, which is obviously the must-have point here. If you are not motivated, then probably you'll be bored after a few seconds here. So yeah, firstly I will just show you where you can search for the Flutter integration. I won't show you step by step how to do that, because it will be really boring. There's a lot of installing stuff, but it's not hard at all. So basically what you need to do is you need to just search for Flutter setup, click enter. You have the official Flutter documentation, and here you have the operation systems for which you want your Flutter to be installed. In this tutorial I will show you and I will do the apps in Windows operating system. So basically it means that I will do apps on Android. However, if you have Mac OS or Linux, then it's not a problem. you just need to choose one of those operating systems, and yeah, and that's all. So now I will go to the Windows steps, as yeah, I was doing all of the steps that were mentioned here. So basically, there are some requirements. So you need to have Windows 10 or later. So for today, it is Windows 10 or 11. 1.64 gigabytes, and those tools, which is Windows PowerShell and Git. And Git is also really important because you can have version control of your code, and yeah, you can save your code in some kind of a code repository like GitHub or Microsoft Azure, and Git really helps you to make commits or yeah, pull requests or whatever you are working on. Depends if you are in a team or you are working alone. So now I will go to the further steps. So first of all, we need to download the Flutter SDK, and then follow the further steps, extract the file, install the Flutters. Basically, you need to follow all these steps. Remember to update your path. So therefore, if you update your path for the environment variable, then you will be able to use Flutter commands in your PowerShell or command line, regardless the path you are currently in. So yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah, I think all of those steps are they could be tricky in some points, but I won't, as I said, I won't show you all the steps now. And I recommend you to check some kind of other tutorials on YouTube, or maybe there are some articles how to install the Flutter. I'm pretty sure that you will find it by your own, and installing Flutter is just easy peasy when you will compare it to other stuff that you'll do in Flutter. And Android Studio, well, there are different approaches, because you can program Flutter apps or make Flutter apps in Android Studio, but in our case, I will show you how to program Flutter apps in Visual Studio Code, but we'll use Android Studio only for running the emulators, Android emulators, so that we can build our flat application, our code in Android Studio Android emulator. Also, I'll show you how to also test the app you are developing in the Android device, which basically means that you need to enable the USB debugging, but yeah, it's kind of easy thing to do, but I'll show you later as well. And yeah, what else? Yeah, today we will just build a simple Torchlight application, and we will test it. However, further process, which is releasing on the Google Play developer console in production, so that we can see it in Play Store, will be made in further streams. So I think we can just start. If you have not set up your Flutter and Android Studio and Visual Studio Code, then please do it now, and then you can continue in my live video. If you have it already installed and you are already a Flutter developer and you just want to watch, then yeah, please welcome to do that. And well, about myself, my nickname is Pacman, and I am developing mobile apps since the beginning of this year. However, I have professional IT experience for 5 years, because I I was a full stack developer, mainly .NET and .NET developer in a big corporate. So yeah, if you trust me, you can continue watching. If not, then I cannot do anything. So let me just open the Visual Studio. Well, I already created a project in Microsoft Azure and created a repository, and as you can see, or maybe you don't see because the screen is not big enough, so I have the main branch, which is overridden a little bit by the Flutter icon that I have on my stream, but I hope you can see it. So now the first thing that we'll do, we'll just create a project, and by that we need to create a new terminal, open a new terminal, and now we are here in the new terminal, and creating a Flutter project is pretty simple because we need to write a command which is flutter create and the name of the project, and because we are making a Torchlight, then I will just name it YouTube floor and the underscore and then flashlight, and we click enter, and now our application is already created. And Flutter created some folders here, which in our case the most important one is the library one, because here there are Dart files that are used to build Flutter applications. And just to tell you, Flutter is working like that. It has its own language called Dart, but the code is compiled into either Java or Kotlin for Android or Swift. It depends for which environment you are working on, or for which device or operating system you are trying to compile your code. So if you're trying to compile on iOS, which means basically iPhones, then the Dart language will be compiled into Swift, and it will be working on iOS. And if you're compiling on Android, then the Dart code will be transferred into the Java or Java and Kotlin language, so that it can run on Android. As you can see, you have like Android folder where you have some built Gradle files and some Android manifest configuration files, which is like very, very popular, like not popular, but very typical for Android applications that you can find when you are developing Android application in its native language, not Dart, but we will not focus it on now. One of the things that I want to show you as well is the extensions. And the extensions that I use for Visual Studio Code is obviously Dart, which shows some suggestions whenever you write something in Dart, and of course Flutter, which is really helpful for auto-suggesting the name of widgets or name of classes and so on. So maybe I can, and I have also material icon theme, which basically is showing icons to some specific folder names. For example, Android has this really nice Android folder icon. The library has also its own icon, test, web, and so on. And you will see later that some folders also have its own nice icons. Well, first thing that we'll do, we'll go to the pubspec.yaml file. And here, this is some kind of a configuration of a Flutter application. And here you can add some dependencies, external dependencies that we'll be using in these courses. especially for the flashlight. We will need a flashlight dependency, and some other stuff like we can use some assets, some custom images that we want to load. Of course, now it's just commented out, but then we will use something from here. Also some custom fonts that we can use, that somewhere in our live streams I will show you this. So maybe for now I will just try to remove the okay, I forgot regex. Anyway, we don't need to remove that comments, sorry. As I can say, I don't remember I don't remember everything, and in many situations, because this is live, I'll need to try to remind myself how some things are done. But anyway, we can start with the main.dart file, and here we can find that there are like lot of code, and the main Dart part is the main file where the application starts running, and basically it starts the main method, and the main method runs the run_app method, which basically runs the my_app class. Here in the material app, there's already some kind of main widget, because Flutter is basically a tree of widgets that are shown in the UI, and this is some simple counter widget, and I can show you by running it on emulator. And to do that, well, there are two ways. Either you open the Android Studio, which I have already installed on my PC, and here you can open the AVD manager, which is the manager of emulators, and I already installed some Android operating systems or Android machines, or Android phones. So I have Pixel 2, Pixel 3, and Pixel 4, and I have different APIs numbers, which means different versions of Android operation system. You can see here 12, 11, and 10. So I can start by either by running launching this by this button. However, you can do that also from the Visual Studio, and to do that, let's just close it. And to do that, I'll just click this, and here I can see my devices here. And if you want a faster start, then you just click the one that doesn't have the cold boot in parentheses. Cold boot is just like starting the device from scratch, and it will take more time to start it. And starting it without scratch means that the emulator is saving the state from where you ended the last session. So I will just start the emulator that I use the most. And the emulator is launching, and it launched on my second screen, so I will just move it here. So we are just waiting until it started. And it can take some time because I haven't started it for a long time, to be honest. So the cache could be wiped out. So yeah, we'll see. In the meantime, I can check my phone, do something. So yeah, okay. I have my emulator open. Wait a second. As I see, there are no viewers, so I don't need to be strict or fast. Okay, as you can see, the Android emulator is running. So now, to run the code, we need to click run without debugging. So it just started. And please let me know in the comments if you would like to see more Flutter stuff for beginners, or maybe more advanced, so that I don't need to explain to you everything from Flutter. Now I'll try to be basic, let's say, but yeah, we'll see what you will tell in the comments below my video. Okay, it's running. It can start for long for the first time, so don't worry. The faster PC you have or laptop, the faster it will start. Okay, so the application is now up and running, and as you can see, if I click the plus button, the counter increases, and this is really simple app. However, we don't need that default app, so we'll just close, or maybe not close, but we'll just stop the emulator, and so yeah, it is stopped. Okay, so the first thing, well, I will get rid of the my home state widget, which is not necessary at all. And the first thing that is really important, that can help you with developing Flutter application, is that it's better to create widgets in separate files and in separate folders. So I'll just create two folders called widgets and called screens. Screen is basically a separate page on a phone, and widget is like part of the screen, like button or like form, some kind of a form. Where it's, of course, screen is also a widget, and you can put everything in one widget, but after some time it can be really hard to find some part of code in one widget, and it's always better practice to split widgets into smaller ones. And it's also important whenever you have some stateful or stateless widgets. And stateful widgets are the ones that changes state, so that, for example, changes colors or changes other stuff based on some actions taken by users, and it's performing, and maybe not performing, but it's getting more memory, stateful widgets. So it's always better to split widgets into stateless and stateful widgets, into separate files. Sorry. So first of all, we will just create a new file, and we'll call it home screen.dart file, and this will be stateless widget. And as you can see, I have some auto suggestions from extension, Flutter extension, and I will just click stateless widget, and I will call it home screen. And the first thing that I will do is to create a root name, which basically is like a page name, very necessary for routing, and you will see why in a second. So static const static const root name, and I'll just name it home. Okay, and for now let's just return an empty container, and we can remove the unused imports that were actually added by the auto suggestion. And in the main.dat file, we no longer need the homepage that was already deleted, and we will make here the home screen. One important thing is that we have a suggestion that we should use the const prefix, and basically const makes Flutter to think that, okay, I don't need to rebuild this kind of stuff whenever something changes. Like whenever I click button on one single widget, then whenever I have a const widget inside, I don't need to change it because it's constant and it doesn't change, and therefore that kind of const prefix saves a lot of memory. So I'll just put const here, and now I don't have any undermarks on my code. I'll just click save. And one other thing that is important to do at the beginning is to create roots. And roots, as you can see, is necessary whenever you use named routing. So whenever you go from one page to another using named routes. So here, when you want to navigate to the home screen by putting the root name home, then this root name of home screen needs to be registered in the material app in routes property. And as you can see, it's a map of a string and widget function build context. So now what I will do, I will just create a map string widget function and here it will be build context. And as you can see, I have some kind of a mistake here, and I am not sure. And yeah, this is the first time I need to take a look at the project I already made. Okay. Okay, I think I just missed the oh, okay. You don't need to put the type of a map whenever you use it strictly after the property. Yeah, sorry. And I will show you why in a second. So here we can put the home screen, root name, and context, and basically new instance of home screen, of course, with the const word. And whenever we add another screen, then another screen needs to be registered here with different name, of course. But for now, we don't need to use it. However, a good practice is to use a helper class instead of using strictly the map in the main.dat file. So, because whenever you have more complicated application, then you will have like maybe not thousands, but you can have like really lot of screens, and that would not look really cool. So we can do a new folder, and that folder, let's name it utils, and in utils let's create a new file, and that will be root helper.dart file, and we'll just create it like a class. And classes are basically from object-oriented programming, where you can define class and then use that class in other classes or in widgets. But yeah, that's why I recommended you to have some basic knowledge of those programming languages, but it's not really hard to learn. So yeah, now I will create a static property which will be map of our roots, and whenever I create a static property or static property, then I need to define what is the type of this property. So now I can write this is a map of a string, and widget, and the value of a map is a function that returns the widget, and this is a function that its argument is a build context. And now, as you can see, I don't have a name of this property. I don't have any errors in the type. Now, so I can just assign the roots I want to register. So I can just copy the first registered root name of the home screen to our static property, and I need to of course import the home screen.dart file so that root helper can see the home screen widget basically. And now, instead of using roots here, I can just use the root helper dot all roots, and that's basically the same. Now, home screen currently is just a container, so whenever I'll just run the app again in the by the Visual Studio Code, and let's just open our Android emulator. Okay, I'm just checking if our live is on YouTube, and actually I cannot see anything here. Maybe it is in my library. My videos live. Okay. I need to check if it's actually live. If it's actually live. By the way, you can see a black screen right now because nothing is happening, because I just created an empty container, so Yeah. So yeah, it is live, as I can see. So nothing is wrong. Okay, so now let me see. I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, so now we'll change our black screen into some page, and this page we have an up bar which will have a title like a Torchlight and a button in the center which will be a launch button, and by pressing that launch button we'll open our light and then turn off our light, and that will be it, and that will be our first application. So yeah, let's start with the scaffold, and remember that you need to create scaffold every time you create a screen. It's always safe to do that, and we have the up bar property, so we create up bar a widget, a built-in widget, and here what we can do, we can create a title, and title is also a widget like everything in Flutter, and it will be text, which basically text widget displays text. And for now we'll just write here Torchlight, and of course it is a const because we use constant text and the whole widget needs to be constant. And the second important thing is to create body. Is to create the body, which is of course not part of the up bar but part of scaffold. And as body, what we'll create, we create a center widget, which basically means that the center widget plays its children widgets in the center, and as a child, so one of the as a child we can use the button, and that will be icon button, which because we'll only need the launch icon button here. And the icon will be icon widget, which basically is icon. And now we need to find the launch icon, which basically doesn't look too nice. However, we can change it to turn on, maybe. Oh, there's not open. Start. Okay, maybe we can just use light. Maybe not this. I think there's a torchlight. Okay, let's just use the light. And maybe we can use bulb instead. What do you think? Okay, we'll use outline because from the beginning our flashlight will not be turned on, obviously, and whenever we press on press, then something needs to happen. And here, if I mean something needs to happen, I mean that first of all we need to show in UI that Torchlight is on So it means that we can, for example, change the icon to field light bulb, for example, and we can also change the color of light bulb to yellow. And basically that's it. And now I'm talking only about UI, and then what we need to do is to basically turn on the light. And this will be the most complicated thing here. So first of all, show in UI that the torchlight is on, change the icon to field light bulb, change the color of light bulb to yellow. And to do that, well, basically, first thing what we can do is to move this icon button widget to a separate widget, because as you can see, the home screen and the up bar are constant and they won't change. The only thing that will change is the icon button and its properties. So our icon will change. So, and to do that, what we can do, first of all, we can remove unused import. What we can do is to create a widget, and that we can name light button, for example. And here the shortcut for the stateful creator code is STF, and I press enter when we have stateful widget, and here we can write the light button. And now what we'll do, first of all, we need to create properties that will determine the state of the button. So either the button is off or either the button is on. And now we will do boolean state, which is bool is turned on, and obviously it is false. Second of all, we need to hold some kind of color and the type of an icon that is currently shown in the on the button. So whenever the light is on, the current icon of widget state needs to be changed as well. So to do that, we can use icon data. We need to import it. Icon current icon, for example, and because for the beginning it is the light bulb outline, so the not turned on light icon. And the second of all is a color that we will store for the icon, and I will use the current icon color, and when it's turned off it will be just black color, and then we will change it to a different one when it's turned on. So here we can just return icon button, and on pressed, for now it will be just empty function, but icon will be an icon widget. And here we can use the current icon, and we can also specify the color of the icon. And so as you can see, the color is one of the named properties, and by named properties I mean that we need to specify the property name. So we need to specify color double dot and then the current icon color, which is state dependent. Of course, now nothing is changed between those two. So now what we can do we can change the onPressed function, and to do that we need to change the state of the widget, because we need to change those three properties. And to do that we need to write a setstate function, and setstate means that this function in setstate is executed, and the state of the widget and the whole widget is rebuilt with the updated values of those properties. So because it's kind of a switch button, then what we need to do, we need to change the as is turned on is not turned on, so it changes the values from false to true, true to false, and once again from false to true, and so on and so on. And now we can do some kind of a logic, and we can check if is turned on, then we can basically change the values of those properties. Of course, we don't need to declare them again, we just need to change them. So if it's turned on, well, we already changed the value of is turned on here, but now we need to change the current icon, which will be just the light bulb, and the current icon color, which the active icon color will be the amber color, which is pretty nice yellow one, or it's looking like the yellow one. So welcome the first viewer, and now we can run the our application and see if the UI is changed. However, first of all, we need to remove the icon widget from the child property of the center widget. So instead of using the icon button itself, we can use the light button that we created by ourselves. And here, as I told you before, we need to use the constant constructor, and to do that we can either use the auto suggestion or the write by manually by ourselves. And yeah, now and now now I will run the application. Actually, I can rerun it, and as you can see, it changes. However, something is wrong, because it doesn't change its value for the second time, and the reason for that is basically in setstate we are just checking it is turned on, and we just assign the new values whenever it's turned on. However, we need to change it back to those states that we assigned at the beginning when it's turned off. So basically we need to run the else statement, and we can just use the light bulb outline again and the black button again. So now whenever we save it and open it again, and maybe we can just reload it, because sometimes just saving and refreshing the website doesn't help. So it is changing like we wanted. However, as you can see, the icon is really small, and to change that we need to change the size, which by default is only 24 pixels, so we will just use 100, and whenever we save it, and now we can see that the we can see that the icon is much more bigger, but actually maybe it's too big. So let's try again. Yeah, the reason for that is that the icon button has the icon size property itself. So what we can do, we can move the icon size to the size of the icon to the icon size property of the icon button, and let's change it to 50. And now let's try again, and we can see that it looks much better. And if we now use 100 and comment out the size of the icon child, then we will see that the icon is much bigger and it's changing its color. So of course it doesn't look really cool, but it's just the first simple app that we are making. So now what we can do, we can have some kind of a container around the button so that it looks like a real button and not just the icon that is in the middle of the screen. So to do that, we can wrap the icon button with the container, and we can assign the color of the container, and to not have it white as well, we can put it like colors dot for example gray. And when we save it and open our emulator again, then we see that the icon is in the rectangle container. What we can do, we can also change the padding, so the distance between the edges of the container and the icon in the middle, the icon button in the middle. So always padding property has edge insets widget, not widget but the built-in property, and here we'll use the all value, all constructor of the edge insets, and let's just put the 10 pixels of the padding. And now as we can see, there's a little bit more padding, but if we do like 50, then we can see the padding is much more visible. Okay, and what we can do, as it doesn't look really nice, we can make this rectangle button to have some radius on edges, and to do that, the container has its own special decoration property, which is the box decoration. And whenever we make a box decoration or assign anything in decoration, then we need to change the color of the color of the container needs to be moved from here to the decoration, to the box decoration itself. Otherwise we would get an error, trust me. So the thing that we are interested in is the thank you, Kononowicz Krzysztof. It is really cool from you. So now I will do the border radius, and yeah, as we can see, this border radius geometry widget. So we can do border dot all, but sorry, it's not the one that I wanted to show you. It's the outline. Probably it's outline input border, or maybe not. Oh, it's just the border radius. Circular, and circular means that it's a circular radius basically, and it's in all on the all edges. and the radius will be, for example, 20. And now whenever we save it and open the emulator again, we can see the radius on the button and everything works. Other thing that can be changed is that the Torchlight title is on the left side, and to do that we can go back to our app bar, and whenever we have a mouse over the app bar widget or any widget, we have some help dialog that shows up, and as we can see here, we should have the center title boolean property, which by default is set to false, and now it will be set to true. So now we can change the center title to true. So if we save it now, it's sort of reloading, and we can see the title of the app bar is in the middle right now. Well, what else we can change? We can change the color of the app bar, and basically the color of the app bar is the main theme color of the whole application. And to do that, we can change it from the main Dart file, which is the main file of our application, and we can do that in the theme data in the primary swatch property, and set of colors blue. We can make a colors.black, for example, or maybe not black, amber. Let me just see if maybe some other. Let me know in the comments afterwards what color should I use. Greetings for Liz1331. Welcome to my channel. Please give a like and subscribe. And now I'll try to use. Okay, maybe I will show you a different approach, because the thing that I use always is the color scheme, and I can use, for example, color scheme from swatch, and here I should use the primary swatch color, and here it will be colors dot green, for example. And if we save it and open again, we can see that the app bar it has a green background color. So maybe we can also change the button to be green, because it will look nicer as well. So to do that, we can go to our light button widget, and we can change the our container color to be also green. And if we save it and open it again, then we can see that it's working. So the last but not least thing, but really important thing, is to actually make it working. So actually the Torchlight should be turned on and turned off, and to do that we can, for now, we can just stop the debugging, and we will use an external package to have that has access to our Torchlight, and to do that I will just search for this package, and I will just write Torchlight Flutter pub, and here we have the Torchlight package, which is from the official pub.dev site, and pub.dev site is basically a site where you can find packages for Flutter, and one of them is Torchlight, but you will find millions of them, and we will use them in our later streams. And here you have the now you can see it. So you have the pub.dev site, and you have the Torchlight package. And to install it, we have two ways to do that. Either we can run it by command, and command is it's nicer way because you will always have the latest version of the package, or you can add it in the pubspec.yaml file by copying the Torchlight and the version number to the pubspec.yaml file. So in the pubspec.yaml file, it will be it needs to be added here and saved, but therefore we would need to run one other command, which is to get the packages by Flutter. So we will not do that. We'll use the way by writing the command. So it is the flutter pub get Torchlight. Of course, it's better always to copy because we are sure it is copied, but yeah, just to paste it and enter. Oh, one important thing, we need to be in our created Flutter folder, and as you can see, I have a lot of changes, so I will just make a comment like the project initialization, and we will commit and save the changes. And now we can go to the folder where our pubspec.yaml file is, and if we now run the same command again, we will have the dependencies resolved. So now, as you can see, there are some problems, and those problems are not real problems, because in the most scenarios, whenever you will program, you will see that you have unused import packages. So it's really easy to remove them and it will be saved because they are not used at all. So I just removed all unused packages, and now I don't have any problems. Okay, so now we have the Torchlight enabled, and now it will be now the most interesting thing, because now the things will start to work. Currently we only have the UI that is changed based on the state of the button, but we need to have the Torchlight enabled. And to do that, we actually don't need to remember how to use this code, because every package should have the example of usage, and we can click here for the example. And here you can see that there are some methods that we can basically either copy or are they write by ourselves, but because it's as you can see, those are really really short methods that actually do a lot of stuff, enables, disables torch, and even shows the scaffold message error whenever the Torchlight is not available on our device, which should be shown in the emulator. So we can just copy them and paste them after our build method. So we pasted them, but I think we pasted them with wrong parentheses, with wrong formatting. But now we added the package to our pubspec.yaml file, and we can import the library package Torchlight. So let's do that. And one important thing that you can see is the future and async words in the code. So basically this is for the asynchronous operations. And today we will not be focused on that, but asynchronous operations can help us to show to the users that something is loading. So I will show you that in later streams, but here we can just ignore it. However, what we can do for today's perspective, we assume that we have a torch, so I can just remove the is torch available function away. And now, important thing, I can do the onPress button to be asynchronous as well, and therefore I'm forcing the code to wait until the function is finished. So what we need to do, well, first of all, we need to enable the torch. So I'll run the method enable torch, and here we'll use the build context from our build method, so nothing is necessary. However, the one important thing that you can see right now is that we'll always try to enable the torch regardless the state of the torch. So here we need to basically be dependent. Okay, I have another question from Lise1331. When there will be some smokes? What smokes are you talking about? I don't understand. I don't understand that. And because, as you can see, the async function is on the oppressed property, so the await forward is saying that, oh, something is wrong because there is no async function there, and that function that the mistake is referring to is the one in the yellow parentheses, the anonymous function that we have here. So we can put async word here, and what we can do whenever we want to turn off the torch, we need to disable the torch here. So that should be our logic, and there is an extra parenthesis that was not necessary here. Whenever we save it, of course, now nothing will change on the emulator, because emulator of course doesn't have the Torchlight itself. However, I have my testing device here, which will be already in debug mode, which I will plug in by the cable I have. So I have the cable. But I don't have the. Okay, not here. I just need to find the cable for the phone I have. Okay. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Basically the cable was on the floor. So I hope that my stream won't be paused by this. Okay, nothing has happened. So now I'm turning on my device, which basically is the and it's turning on for a long time. And it's turning on and on. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So I can plug in the my phone to the USB-C cable, and okay, the stream is probably still continuing. I have already the sorry, just one. I need to allow. I don't know. I really don't see. I need to allow the debug USB debugging for this PC. And okay. And now one important thing, I can close this emulator. And yeah, it's closed. So now I have this device that I will try to open the application on this device. And to do that, as you already can see, my device is here. And I will just, yeah, I have it selected, so I need to just run it like normally, run without debugging, because for now we don't need debugging at all. And it's okay, so maybe I'll show you how it runs. So I have this phone. It's a King Kong Mini 2. It's a Chinese phone that let's say it's good for testing. That's what I can say about this phone overall. It's good for testing, and that's it. And I won't say anything else about it. But the good thing about testing, because it has a really small screen, so whenever you test your applications on different devices, then it's always nice to test it on a small screen, because sometimes you can see that there is some UI bugs on the small screens that you need to fix, because as you know, many users use many phones, and I guess maybe some of them use the one I have in my right hand right now. So yeah, maybe something is wrong. Yeah. Okay. There's one mistake here that I need to fix, and actually it says everything that I need to do, because it requires the Android version to be 21 at least. And to do that, we need to go to the build.gradle file, and we can actually go there strictly by pressing Control and left click. And in the build.gradle file, we should have somewhere the mean SDK version, and here if we change it to 21 and save it and run without debugging again, And yeah, I'm still holding. And I don't see still an error, so yep, we'll see. Okay, maybe like this. Do not have the reflection that is right now, but no, it's not. Okay, it's starting. And as you can see, the UI is working. So now I will try to launch it, and voila! And the Torchlight is working. And now we can turn it off. So I press, okay, how to show you? Okay, now you can see that it's on. I press it and it's on. And you can see error here. Setstate method on blood by state was called with a closure method returned a future. Maybe it is marked as async. Okay. One thing is that in a set state you cannot use async, and this is said because it found out that the enable torch was a future that the function that was returning a future, and that maybe there was an async word here in the set state method. So to avoid that, we can either remove the await words. However, it can have one disadvantage, because now we don't wait until the torchlight is turned on or turned off. I mean, in this case, it doesn't really matter because it's a really simple code, so that it doesn't take a long time. It takes like milliseconds and nanoseconds. But for some more complicated future functions with million lines of code, it of course doesn't make sense to do it like that, because whenever a user clicks it really fast, then we can have some kind of a problem with Torchlight being off before being on, and so on and so on. To change that, we need to move our logic to the above or below the set state function. So to do that, we need to make an if is turned on. But now we need to be careful, because remember that is turned on is changed below. So if it's turned on, then it means that we need to disable the torch, because our changing the is turned on property is made after this line of code. So yeah, we can use the disable torch function here and use the await word, and else statements we need to use the enable torch function with the await and await torch await word. so that we wait until this function is finished. So let's clean the console, let's refresh, restarted the application, and now let's okay, let's show our, I forgot that I have emulator off. Let's show our screen. So yeah, I know it doesn't look so nice, but now whenever I press it, you can see that the icon has become yellow, and the light is turned on and there are no errors. And if you press again, the icon is black again and the light was turned off. So let's test it again. On, off, on, off, on, off. No errors in the console, which means that basically we have made our first app working, which is really nice. And yeah, I guess that today it's all that I wanted to show you. So now you should be able to create at least Torchlight application, and yeah, you can then be proud of yourself and tell your friends that, hey, let's use our Torchlight application. Of course, it's super simple, but everyone has started with such kind of applications. So in the next stream, we will actually deploy this application to Google Play Developer Console, and of course after some days it will be live. It will be live on the Android for Android Play Store. So yeah, that's it for today. I guess in a few days I will create another stream where I will show you that how to release this app to the Play Store. And yes, release 1331, will the recording be available on your channel? Yes, it will be available just after I finished the live really soon. So yeah, you will have all material on YouTube, and yeah, you can rewind to the beginning as well. Okay, so thank you, and yeah, see you next time.